Dear Starseed from Gaia, every relationship that ended was not a failure. It was a sacred redirection, clearing the path for the love your soul was actually built for. I am Ophelia, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and in this moment, I carry a transmission from the Arcturian Council, delivered with precision and divine love directly to your heart. You have been blaming yourself. You have been replaying every ending, every silence, every goodbye, wondering what you did wrong. But the Arcturian Council wants you to hear this clearly. You were not too much. You were not broken. You were simply too whole for what was never meant to stay. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly why every relationship before this moment had to fall away, and how that falling away was the universe preparing you for your divine counterpart. But here is the first revelation. The love that kept leaving was not rejecting you. It was refining you. Every heartbreak was a layer of the ordinary being stripped from someone who was never meant to settle for ordinary love. You did not find this transmission by chance. Your heart called this message in. Something in you has been ready to remember who you are and what you were always meant to receive. The Arcturian Council sees you. They have seen every night you spent in silence, wondering if sacred love was real, wondering if it was meant for someone like you. It is real, and it is meant for you. Like this transmission to affirm to the universe, my heart is ready for divine love. Subscribe if you are on the twin flame path and aligning with sacred union. Comment 1111 if you feel your heart awakening to divine truth right now. This is not content. This is a moment of divine intervention. Your soul has been waiting for this guidance, and the Arcturian Council has chosen this exact moment to reach you, because you are finally ready to receive it. Your heart knows why you are here, and if you're still here, if something in that opening cracked a door you've kept closed for a long time, then what I'm about to share is not information. It's recognition. It's the part of the message your soul has been waiting to hear since before this lifetime began. Not a lesson delivered from a distance, but a resonance arriving from somewhere ancient and intimate. The kind that bypasses the mind entirely and lands directly in the center of the chest, where truth has always lived before language could catch up with it. What you just felt, that quiet ache mixed with recognition, is not sadness. It is your frequency remembering what it came here to receive. If this transmission stirred something you cannot name, the Divine Love frequency code was written for this exact moment in your journey. It contains 5 sacred Arcturian transmissions designed to dissolve the wounds blocking your divine counterpart and activate the signal that draws them closer. The link is in the first pinned comment, but it will only remain there for a short time. Now let's go deeper, because the real reason every relationship failed isn't the story you've been telling yourself. It isn't bad timing. It isn't that you love too much or not enough. It isn't because you're broken, difficult, or somehow designed to be alone. The real reason is something far more sacred than any of those explanations. And once you understand it, you will never look at your past the same way again. Most souls on this path believe their heartbreaks were failures. They carry them like evidence, proof that they are somehow less than, somehow unworthy of the kind of love that doesn't leave. They replay the endings. They search for the moment they went wrong. They rewrite conversations in their heads at 2 in the morning, wondering what would have happened if they had said something different, stayed quieter, been less, been more. And the longer they do this, the deeper the wound cuts. Not because the relationship mattered more than it should have, but because the soul is desperately trying to understand something it hasn't been given the language to name yet. Think about the weight of that, the invisible exhaustion of carrying something you cannot explain, cannot fully grieve, and cannot put down. Most people move through their entire lives tending that weight without ever realizing there is another way to interpret it. They reframe it as resilience. They call it strength. They wear it quietly, the way you carry something sacred that also happens to be very heavy. But at 3 in the morning, when the performance of okayness falls away, they feel it. That particular ache that doesn't quite fit the category of sadness and doesn't quite fit the category of longing, it is something rarer than either. It is the soul recognizing that it has been seeking something in the wrong direction, not because it was foolish, but because no one gave it a map that pointed inward. Here is the language. Here is the truth that changes everything. Every relationship that ended before this moment was not a failure. It was a frequency test. Not a punishment, not a sign that love has passed you by. A test, and more than that, a preparation. Each person who came into your life and left was carrying a piece of a map you were meant to decode. Not to follow them, not to keep them, but to learn something about your own signal. The energetic broadcast you've been transmitting from a place of wounding rather than wholeness. And until that signal changes, the universe, in its profound and sometimes painful intelligence, will keep sending you teachers disguised as partners. You didn't fail those relationships, you were being calibrated. Consider what that word truly means. Calibration is the process of measuring something against a known standard so that it can function with precision. A musical instrument being tuned. A compass being adjusted so true north becomes findable. The calibration your soul has been undergoing through every relationship that stirred you and every ending that shook you to the foundation. It was not arbitrary suffering. It was precise. It was the universe holding you up to the light and asking, what frequency are you truly at? Not the frequency you perform, not the one you aspire to, but the one that broadcasts from the oldest, most unexamined parts of your interior life. And if that frequency was still running on old programming, on inherited wounds, on conditional love learned before you were old enough to question it, the universe, in its deep and sometimes aching wisdom, would simply send you another mirror to show it to you. But here's what no one tells you about calibration. It doesn't feel gentle. It feels like loss. It feels like being chosen and then abandoned. It feels like opening your entire heart and watching someone walk out the door carrying pieces of it. It feels unfair in the most existential way, like you did everything right and still ended up alone at the end of the chapter. What they don't tell you is that the ache you carry from those endings is not evidence of your unworthiness. It is evidence of your depth, and depth is exactly what divine love requires. A shallow lake and a deep ocean can both reflect the sky, but only one of them can hold what lives beneath the surface, the things that require real depth. The creatures that can only survive in the profound dark below the light, they do not live in the shallow places. Divine love is like that. It does not come to skim the surface. It comes to inhabit the depths. And the deeper your capacity, the more you have felt, the more you have survived, the more you have been broken open and chosen to remain open, the more you have become a home that divine love can actually live in. So let's unlock this. Let's open the doors your heart has been standing outside of for years. The first key, and this one is foundational, so stay with it, is the worthiness unlock. Before your sacred counterpart can find you, you have to stop operating from the silent belief that love is something you earn. This belief is older than you think. For most starseeds and highly sensitive souls, it was written into the nervous system in childhood. The moment you learned that love came with conditions, that it arrived when you were good enough, quiet enough, useful enough, easy enough to be around, you adapted. You became what was needed. And somewhere in that adaptation, you buried the version of yourself that simply deserved love for existing, not for performing, not for healing fast enough or being strong enough, or holding everyone else together, just for being here, in this body, with this heart, in this lifetime. There is a particular kind of grief that comes with recognizing this, because it means that for years, perhaps for decades, perhaps for multiple lifetimes, you have been loving from a position of unconscious debt, as if your very presence required justification, as if the space you take up in the world needed to be earned through service, through self-erasure, through being perpetually useful, perpetually low maintenance, perpetually accommodating. And the tragedy is not that you did it. The tragedy is that the world rewarded you for it. People loved the version of you that never asked for too much. They praised your strength. They leaned on your steadiness. And you took that praise as evidence that the strategy was working, without noticing that the one who was disappearing in the process was you. When that wound runs the show, you attract relationships that mirror it back to you. Partners who are emotionally unavailable. Love that feels almost right but never fully safe. Connections that begin with electricity and end in the same hollow silence you were trying to escape. Not because the universe is cruel, because your frequency is broadcasting from an old station, one that plays the original wound on repeat until you consciously retune it. The worthiness unlock doesn't happen through affirmations alone. It happens when you make the radical decision to stop auditing your own deserving. When you look at the ache in your chest, not as proof that you're broken, but as proof that you're a soul who knows what real love feels like and has refused, at some level, to accept anything less. That refusal, that's not your flaw. That's your gift. It is the place in you that held firm even when everything else bent under pressure. The part that could not fully settle, could not fully disappear into a relationship that wasn't right, no matter how much you wanted to. The part that kept a small, stubborn flame alive even in the darkest winters of the heart. That part, the part that refuses to accept less than it knows is possible, is not the obstacle to love. It is the compass pointing toward it. The worthiness unlock is the moment you stop fighting that part of yourself and start honoring it. Start treating it not as evidence of your difficulty, but as evidence of your discernment. It knows what it is worth. The work is simply catching up to what it already knows. The second key is the mirror recognition. Your divine counterpart is not coming to complete you. This is one of the most important things you will ever understand about sacred union. They are coming to reflect you, to show you the version of yourself that has already done the healing, already integrated the wounds, already risen. This means that what you see in them, what draws you to them in that inexplicable way that bypasses logic entirely, is actually a quality you have been developing within yourself. The steadiness you crave in a partner is the steadiness you are learning to embody. The safety you long to feel in someone's presence is the safety you are building inside your own nervous system. The love that feels unconditional and vast and quietly certain. That is the love you are slowly learning to offer yourself. This is why the recognition of a divine counterpart feels so disorienting. It is not simply attraction. It is something more vertiginous, more like looking into a mirror in a dream and seeing someone else's face, only to realize, slowly, that the face is your own. What you see in them is the territory you are standing at the edge of within yourself. The qualities that move you most in them are the qualities that are asking to be embodied by you. Not copied, not borrowed, embodied. Grown from within, rather than borrowed from without. When souls don't understand this key, they spend their lives reaching outside themselves for what can only be anchored from within. They find someone who carries a spark of that reflection and they pour everything into keeping that spark alive, sometimes losing themselves completely in the process. The mirror recognition key unlocks the moment you stop chasing the reflection and start becoming the source. That shift, subtle, seismic, and deeply spiritual, is what makes you visible to the one who is meant to find you. Because here is the sacred geometry of it. Your divine counterpart is also looking for a reflection. They are also being drawn toward the frequency they are working to embody. When you become the source rather than the seeker, you stop being invisible to them. You become the signal they have been tracking across the vast geography of their own inner life. You become recognizable, not because you are performing anything, because you are finally, fully, undeniably yourself. The third key is the karmic release. And this one asks something difficult of you. It asks you to consciously complete the energetic contracts you've been carrying forward from relationships that were never meant to be permanent. Not every soul who has loved you was meant to stay. Some came to awaken specific wounds so they could finally be healed. Some came to teach you what love is not, so you could recognize what it is. Some came because of agreements made in other lifetimes, debts of experience, lessons of depth, initiations of the heart that have now been paid in full. But if you are still holding on to those connections energetically, still tethered to past loves through unresolved grief, unspoken anger, unacknowledged longing, then part of your frequency is still living in a chapter that is already ended. Imagine what that looks like from an energetic standpoint. You're here, in this present moment, attempting to broadcast a new frequency, wholeness, readiness, alignment, but a portion of your signal is still transmitting from a room you left years ago, still looping the grief of a particular goodbye, still rehearsing the argument that never reached resolution, still holding the door open for someone who made their choice and moved on. You are not entirely present because part of you is still there, And divine love, which operates in the full presence of the now, cannot fully reach you when you are split across time. Karmic release is not about pretending those connections didn't matter. They did. Some of them shaped you in ways nothing else could have. Release is about honoring what they gave you while removing your energetic investment from what can no longer grow. It is placing your hands on your heart and saying, with full sincerity, I received what this was here to give me. I release the rest with love. That act, quiet, private, deeply personal, creates space. And space is where the new can finally enter. Some of you will feel resistance to this. You will feel the pull to hold on, because releasing feels like admitting it didn't matter, or like betraying something that was once sacred. But true release is not erasure. It is completion. It is the closing of a circle that has been left open, not because the connection was unworthy of completion, but because you weren't yet ready to let the story end and trust that something even more aligned was waiting on the other side of the closing. The fourth key is divine timing, surrender. And I want to be clear about what this is not, because it has been misused as a reason to remain passive, to wait indefinitely, to put your life on hold while the universe arranges what you are too afraid to step toward. That is not surrender. That is avoidance dressed in spiritual language. True divine timing, surrender, is something else entirely. It is the deep, cellular trust that the conditions being perfected right now, inside you and in the life you are building, are preparing you for a love that your past self could not have held. It is the release of the timeline you thought this was supposed to follow. It is choosing to become fully alive in the present, not because the future doesn't matter, but because the version of you who shows up fully alive in the present is the version who magnetic resonance finds. Think of it this way. There is a version of the love you are calling in that your past self, the one who hadn't moved through these keys, who still believed they needed to earn love, who hadn't released the karmic weight, who was still seeking completion in another. There is a version of this love that your past self would have destroyed, not out of malice, out of wounding, out of the desperate unconscious patterns that run love into the ground before it ever has the chance to become what it was meant to be. The timing that felt cruel was in fact protection. It was the universe holding the love at a safe distance while you became someone who could receive it without dismantling it. The universe is not making you wait because you haven't suffered enough. It is making room for you to become who your divine counterpart needs to meet. And that process cannot be rushed any more than a seed can be forced into flower. But it can be tended. It can be watered with self-love, with radical honesty, with the daily practice of choosing yourself even when no one is watching. True surrender sounds like this. I trust that what is being prepared for me is greater than what I could arrange for myself. I release my grip on the how and the when. I redirect my energy from waiting toward becoming. And I trust, not blindly, but with the deep and earned knowing of someone who has seen how the universe moves, that what is mine will find me when I am ready to hold it without shrinking from the weight of its beauty. The fifth key is magnetic embodiment. This is where the internal work becomes a signal. Divine love does not respond to desperation. And this is not a judgment, it is physics. The frequency of longing, of needing love to arrive in order to feel whole, broadcasts at a completely different vibration than the frequency of someone who has integrated their worth, released their past, and is living from the center of their own joy. What you carry energetically, the stories you rehearse, the fears you indulge, the ways you speak about love when no one else is listening, all of it is broadcasting. All of it is shaping the field around you that either draws your counterpart closer or keeps them at a distance. Your human self cannot see. You are not just a physical body moving through physical space. You are a field, a living, breathing, constantly transmitting energetic field that extends beyond the edges of your skin and shapes the reality you move through. What you believe about love, truly believe, not what you perform on the surface, but what your nervous system whispers in the unguarded moments. That is what the field is carrying. That is what is going out into the world ahead of you, announcing your arrival before you ever speak a word. And your divine counterpart, who is also a frequency, is either moving toward that field or not, based on what it is actually emitting. Magnetic embodiment is the decision to become the love you are seeking, not to perform it, not to broadcast it loudly, to quietly, powerfully live it, to treat yourself the way you want to be treated, to hold yourself with the tenderness you want someone else to offer, to build a life so aligned with your soul's truth that your divine counterpart recognizes you not because you're searching for them, but because you are undeniable. You are the signal. You have always been the signal. The work is making it clear. And this is not about becoming perfect. Embodiment is not perfection. It is the decision to live authentically from the inside out, to let your healing be visible in the way you move through the world, to let your wholeness be the loudest thing in the room, not through declaration, but through the quiet, unmistakable authority of someone who has come home to themselves. That is irresistible, not in the performative sense, in the most profound and literal sense. It cannot be resisted by the frequency that is meant to find it. The sixth key is separation wisdom. For those of you who are in the middle of distance, physical, emotional, or the invisible kind where someone is present but somehow still unreachable, this key is for you. Separation in sacred union is not abandonment. It is not the universe's way of telling you that you chose wrong or that the connection isn't real. It is the space in which both souls are asked to do what they could not do in each other's presence, to grow in the places that only solitude can reach, to face the wounds that proximity was masking, to become, each in their own interior world, the version of themselves that the relationship requires. There is something that only silence can reveal. When another soul is close, when their energy is woven through yours in the daily intimacy of partnership, certain things remain invisible. The ways you abandon yourself in the presence of love, the places where you shrink, the fears that you manage by managing the other person instead of addressing the root. Proximity can be a kind of noise, and separation is the quiet in which what was always there finally becomes audible. This is not a comfortable silence. It is often a piercing one. But what becomes audible in it, the truth of who you are without the other person as a frame of reference, is exactly what needed to be heard. The distance that feels like punishment is often the universe's most precise act of love, not because pain is good, but because some chambers of the heart only open in the quiet. And what opens in that quiet is irreplaceable. It is the version of you that no longer needs the relationship to feel worthy of it, and that version, steady, healed, whole, is who the reunion is designed to meet. If you are in separation right now, hear this clearly. The distance is not the story. It is the space between verses in which the music is preparing for its most powerful resolve. Stay in your own becoming. Trust that they are doing the same in theirs. And know that two souls who do the work in the spaces between them arrive at reunion as something neither could have become in the presence of the other. They arrive capable of a love that the earlier version of the connection could not have held. The seventh key is reunion readiness. And this is the one most people don't realize they're missing. They believe that reunion is something that happens to them, that one day the circumstances will align and the door will simply open. But the door to divine union opens from the inside. It always has. Your divine counterpart cannot fully enter a heart that is still partially closed, still guarded, still braced for the hurt that has come before, still running old architecture that says love is dangerous or temporary or conditional. Reunion readiness is the state of an open heart that has done the work, not a perfect heart. Not a perfect heart that has never been broken. A heart that has been broken open, cracked wide enough to receive love at the frequency it was designed to hold. There is a line in the ancient wisdom traditions that speaks to this with stunning precision. The crack is where the light enters, not despite the breaking. Because of it, the heart that has never been broken may remain intact, but it has not been enlarged. It has not been stretched into its full capacity. It does not yet know what it can hold, because it has never been asked to hold anything beyond its comfort. A heart that has been broken and chosen to remain open. That heart has been expanded. And expansion is what divine love requires. Not the absence of wounds, but the alchemical transformation of them into depth, into wisdom, into the particular quality of tenderness that only comes from having genuinely suffered and genuinely survived. When you have moved through the previous keys, when you have reclaimed your worthiness, recognized the mirror, released the karmic contracts, surrendered the timeline, embodied the frequency, and honored the wisdom of the distance, You become someone who no longer has to chase divine love. You become someone it finds, naturally, inevitably, as if it was always on its way. And here is the final truth, the one I want you to carry with you after this message ends. You were never behind. You were never too much. You were never the reason love didn't stay. You were a soul of extraordinary depth, being prepared for a connection that required every single one of those experiences to reach you fully formed. The heartbreaks were not evidence of your inadequacy. They were the sculptor's hand shaping something rare. The loneliness was not your destiny. It was the cocoon stage of something that required complete transformation before it could open. Every moment you spent wondering if you were enough was a moment your soul was gathering the courage to answer yes. Let that land. Let it move through the places that have been holding their breath for years, waiting for permission to finally exhale. The moments you cataloged as proof of your unworthiness, the relationships that ended, the love that didn't stay, the doors that closed before you were ready, they were not sentences passed against you. They were sacred curriculum. They were the exact curriculum that your soul, before this lifetime began, agreed to move through so that it could arrive at this moment with the depth, the discernment, the hard-won wholeness that divine love requires as its foundation. The love you are calling in is not a fantasy. It is a frequency match that becomes more possible with every act of self-reclamation you make. Every time you choose your own truth over someone else's comfort. Every time you release what no longer serves you instead of holding it out of fear. Every time you meet your own heart with gentleness in the middle of the night when the doubt is loudest. You are not just healing yourself. You are tuning the instrument. You are making the signal clear. And the signal, once it is clear, once it is no longer muddied by the stories of the past, no longer conflicted by the unresolved grief of old connections, no longer broadcasting from a place of earned worthiness, the signal, when it is finally clean and aligned and radiant with its own truth, is impossible to miss. Not just by your divine counterpart, but by life itself, by the circumstances that begin to arrange themselves in ways you couldn't have engineered, by the moments of synchronicity that arrive like punctuation in a sentence you didn't know you were writing, by the quiet growing sense that something is moving toward you, not as a desperate hope, but as a deep and settled knowing. Tonight, if you are willing, place your hand on your heart before you sleep, not to perform anything, not because it will magically accelerate anything, but because your heart has been working so hard, carrying so much, and it deserves to be touched with intention. Say this aloud if you can, or whisper it if the world is too close. I am worthy of the love my soul came here to receive. I release every version of myself that believed otherwise. I am ready. I am aligned. I am the frequency. And what is meant for me cannot miss me. Let that prayer settle into your body like warm water. Let it reach the places that have held tension for so long, they have forgotten what ease feels like. Let it move through the rooms inside you that have been kept dark and dusty out of grief or fear or simple exhaustion. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too much or too little or too complicated or too wounded. You are, in this very moment, exactly where your soul needs you to be. Awake enough to hear this, open enough to receive it, and ready enough to begin. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of what's forming here. Drop one intention in the comments, something real from your heart journey, then find someone else who shared theirs and respond with love. This is not content. This is collective healing. And love multiplies when hearts connect. If something in this message moved something in you, don't let it stop here. Someone in your life is waiting for exactly this activation. Share it with them. And if you felt the pull to stay in this frequency, subscribe. Show up. Let the guidance keep coming. You're not just watching, you're healing. This is your sacred space, and we are just getting started.